name is Macy Burns, and I am the Vice Chair of the Collin County Democratic Party, and I'm also the SDC member for CD3. I love to start my day with Progress Texas because it's how I know what's going on with everything else that's going on.
It's Friday, March 6th, 2026, and this is the Progress Texas Daily Dispatch, rapid response on the breaking news stories Texas progressives need to know. I'm Chris Mosier. Here at Progress Texas, we have built a statewide audience. We reach millions of Texans monthly, and that's thanks to folks like you who invest in independent progressive media by Texans for Texans. Our thanks to Michael Springer, Darby Hamilton, and Paul Swan. They are all on the team, and we appreciate their ongoing sustaining support. This Friday, much drama over across the chasm in the Texas Republican Party. Clearly Ken Paxton at the center of that, as the narrative shifted wildly over the course of the day yesterday between his resistance to the idea of dropping out of his race against Senator John Cornyn for the GOP nomination for Cornyn's current seat on the orders of Donald Trump, to offering up a weird deal under which he might possibly think about stepping aside. Jaime E. Galvan at KHOU-TV in Houston says Paxton says he'd be open to quitting if Senate Republicans agreed to drop the filibuster and pass the Save America Act, which would impose stricter proof of citizenship requirements for voting and thus give Trump a weapon via which to unjustly sideline untold numbers of American voters prior to the general midterm election coming up in November. This move is itself a gambit of sorts against Cornyn, as Paxton tries to force the senator into a choice between nuking the filibuster or appearing less than committed to Trump and the MAGA agenda. If Cornyn and the rest of the Senate Republicans were to gut the filibuster, they might get the SAVE Act done, but they'd also pave the way for Senate Democrats to do all kinds of fun stuff, including a future packing of the U.S. Supreme Court, granting statehood to Puerto Rico and Washington, D.C., which would likely net the Dems 4 new permanent Senate seats, and possibly federalizing elections in a way that could end oppressive voter suppression in states like Texas. It would be a super risky long-term move, but one designed to ensure another 2 years of unfettered power for Donald Trump. In the end, Senator Cornyn's individual vote to kill the filibuster wouldn't be enough itself to get it done. This will develop over the course of the day today. Over in the House, it's lights out for scandal-embroiled Republican Congressman Tony Gonzales of West Texas, who after weeks and weeks of denying that he'd had an affair with a married female staffer who later committed suicide, admitted the affair on Wednesday and announced that he's stepping aside in his re-election campaign. Gabby Birnbaum at the Texas Tribune says pressure from House Speaker Mike Johnson and a House Ethics Committee investigation for sexual misconduct and potential administrative favoritism appears to have done the trick here. So now the Republican nominee for Texas's CD23 becomes Brandon Herrera. Yes, the AK guy, a gun rights activist and YouTuber who's already outperformed Gonzales on Election Day, but coming short of avoiding a runoff, which of course he now avoids with Gonzales' exit, putting the gun cosplay to the side, as that's nothing super unique in Texas. Let's do note that Brandon Herrera is known for using Nazi imagery in his videos and for being a member of the Sons of Confederate Veterans, which is a hereditary group of descendants of Southern soldiers dedicated to what they call the Charge, which is in part a dedication to vindicating the Confederate cause, which itself is code for the justification and defense of African slavery. On the Democratic side of the CD23 ballot this November will be Katie Padilla Stout, who prevailed without a runoff from a field of 4, mom of 4, whose campaign is focused on authentic leadership and happy, healthy families, emphasizing affordability in a district where economic struggles are widespread, education in a district where solving those economic problems will absolutely depend on a well-trained and sharp future workforce, and practical border policy that includes both efficient control and improved humanitarian standards. We hope to talk to Katie soon. Who'd have thought there might be a connection between Texas transplant Elon Musk and the guy who shot over a dozen people, killing 2 of them last weekend at a downtown Austin bar? That appears to be the case, as Andre Guzman at the Austin American-Statesman says Lilia Mendoza Brady, 65, a former employee at Musk's Tesla Gigafactory in East Austin, has filed a lawsuit against the company following that mass shooting outside Buford's bar perpetrated by, turns out, another former Tesla employee, Njaga Janya, last weekend. The suit alleges that Tesla failed to provide a safe work environment at the Gigafactory, where Janya reportedly assaulted Brady without provocation back in December of 2024. Brady further claims the company refused to disclose Janya's identity to her after the incident, which prevented her from pressing charges until his name and face surfaced in news reports following the shooting last weekend. Brady's attorney says the assault should have served as a critical warning sign of Janya's violent temperament. His illustrious record also features a 2022 court finding of family violence. The lawsuit also accuses Elon Musk's Tesla of failing to monitor common areas, supervise sanctioned activities, or properly vet employees with histories of aggression. Brady is seeking over $1 million in damages for physical and mental anguish, mental expenses, and lost wages, while demanding that Tesla preserve all evidence related to her assault. The world's richest man's flagship factory is now not only known for fatal accidents, OSHA violations, hazardous chemical exposures, toxic waterway discharges, and on. They now have had a mass shooter whose violent behavior they've concealed emerge from their employment roles. As we begin to wind down here, an inside source tells me that Texas DPS is soon to release a bunch of investigative material, including video on the shooting last March, about a year ago now, in South Padre Island at the hands of a federal border enforcement agent of U.S. citizen and San Antonio resident Ruben Ray Martinez, whose passenger on the night he was killed offered testimony contradicting the official line that Martinez had driven his car into an officer before he was shot, and then himself, the passenger, Joshua Orta, died in a separate car crash in San Antonio just a couple of weeks ago as the cover-up of this ICE-involved killing had come to light. Watch for a Friday data dump on this and check back here on Monday for more. Meanwhile, Robert Klemko at the Washington Post has done a deep dive on how multiple agencies could have kept the Ruben Martinez killing, now considered the first death of an American citizen via actions by federal immigration agents during the second Trump term, quiet for most of a year. I'm learning a couple of new things from Klemko's reporting here. First, that while Texas has state laws requiring police to report shootings, no such federal mandate exists for agencies like ICE. We also learned that the Cameron County grand jury that has recently declined to indict the agent involved did view private video footage in the course of their deliberations, and that video seems likely to be amidst the new information that we expect to be released today or over the weekend. We will continue to follow. If you're listening in the Houston area before 10 a.m. this morning, be sure to tune in to KPFT 90.1 FM at 10 to catch this weekend's edition of our In Progress Roundtable show. Progress Texas is proud to join the lineup of the legendary KPFT in Houston, and that we're now reaching a lot more voters in Texas's largest and most diverse city. With your support, we hope to expand our radio footprint beyond Houston to the top 5 Texas media markets this year. Click the link in the show notes to make your tax-deductible donation to help us reach new audiences via Texas Radio. That's the Progress Texas Daily Dispatch for this Friday, March 6, 2026. Links to all these original stories can be found in our show notes. Our mission at Progress Texas is to improve and save Texans' lives by acting on our shared bold progressive values, and that starts with countering the billionaire and corporate-funded conservative disinformation machine. Progress Texas is an independent, nonprofit, rapid response media organization. While campaigns come and go, we're the permanent home for progressive media and action in the Lone Star State. I'm Chris Mosier. Thanks so much for listening. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you again on Monday.